As you all know, for far too long, 16 years, the Six Flags site has been sitting dormant. And it has become a daily reminder, on so many different levels, not only of the devastation that was caused by Hurricane Katrina, but also really a testament of our city's inability to capitalize on our strengths and move beyond historic challenges, as well as kind of threading that needle when you think about the site and think about the time. It's also made our people in New Orleans East feel like they were left out of the recovery and not a priority. But no longer, no doubt about it. Today, we have some significant changes coming to New Orleans East, coming to the city of New Orleans that will benefit all of us. We're changing the mindset of the city and turning our city liabilities into city assets, again, playing to our strengths. The city of New Orleans is achieving a critical milestone. We're announcing the selection of Bayou Phoenix to be the city's choice for developing the former Six Flags site in New Orleans East. This is a huge win for our city. This announcement truly does symbolize my administration's larger approach as we move our city forward in thinking holistically and absolutely having it grounded in resiliency. No longer are we, kicking cans, wanting to make sure that we're not that administration that kicks cans down the road, but instead pick up the cans that have been kicked in order to impact our city in a much larger way. Diversifying our economy, being more equitable in our approach, and of course, ensuring that we are meeting our people where they are by, again, diversifying our economy, connecting our people to real jobs and opportunity, and of course, the growth of this city. We have to grow in order to survive. Throughout this election process, we have heard very clearly the community's preference. But not only that, what was demonstrated through our RFP process is that Bayou Phoenix is also prepared and having the resources necessary to pull this off. Wanted to make sure that no longer setting our people up, making them proud on the front end and only to kind of bring them down later on because we didn't deliver. We're going to deliver, and we believe that Bayou Phoenix has demonstrated their ability to do just that. Emerged again as the top selected respondent, quite frankly. They have assembled a roster of talent, professionals that we know have demonstrated their ability to develop key parcels of land like we have on the table with Six Flags, and doing so across the country. This project is in clear alignment with our overall goal of driving vibrant recovery and creating, again, a more diverse and equitable economy for our people. So we're excited to get to work on this. You're going to hear a little bit more about it from Gilbert, and of course, following Gilbert will be Jeff. But I have to thank the IDB, the Industrial Development Board, for working with the administration on this project. They will be and continue to be key partners as we move now to the negotiating phase of this development. So I just had to give them a special shout out. But more importantly, several months ago, you probably heard me say, I know I did many oftentimes, is that our focus as a city was really wanting to develop a win-win based on the respondents that we did gain through the RFQ process. And so prior to this, I was even able to release through a press release that we're demonstrating again just that. The Kiernan West and Shields 1, through that release this morning or this afternoon, again proves that we are going to get a win-win, two major developments in New Orleans East that will drive our economy, drive our workforce, and diversify on every single level. So this is a huge day for the city of New Orleans, and we should be very proud of how we're coming out and moving forward. One, with the development team created to work directly with Kiernan West and Shields, as well as moving forward as it relates to Six Flags, moving towards negotiating the deal that will, again, ring dividends for the city of New Orleans, for New Orleans East, and for the people that we serve in our city. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Gilbert to give you a little bit more meat on the bone. Then you're going to hear from Jeff, and then we'll go into Q&A as needed. So, Gilbert.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for your leadership on this particular topic. This is definitely a long road that has been coming. There has been a lot of different components and pieces and technical aspects related to it, but at the end of the day, it's a major catalytic win for not only New Orleans East, but also the leveraging opportunities through economic development for the city of New Orleans. Very excited. As the mayor said, this is congruent with another project that the mayor referenced with Kieran West, who did not fully respond to the current RFP, which we selected, Bayou Phoenix. So we hope to encourage or anticipate some exciting synergies through both those economic hub and opportunities. As far as Bayou Phoenix, they were selected just previous to this press event. They were an awarded contract. We did significant due diligence and pro forma evaluation as it relates to their proposal. We were confident in some of their financials and their overall capabilities to go through the various phases. Now we'll really continue to work with them and directly with both entities, for that matter, to ensure that the product they deliver is long-term, sustainable, and obviously financially solvent. So it's not just for the short term, but also, as we've always said, the long term. We're anticipating significant groundwork, both with the developer and the city. These projects will not be successful without significant city involvement. One of the key aspects that we heard from day one was the desired community participation and involvement, and that's why you see within the proposal of Bayou Phoenix two pieces. One, the actual logistical STEM economic development piece, but then also in the Phase 2 prospect, some of the more amenities for the community as it relates to the water park, potential sports venue parks, but they didn't want to put the cart before the horse without allowing the community to be heard and to be spoken, and the city obviously encouraged that as well. So we're optimistic for the future of both of those endeavors, and ultimately for the overall health and wealth of both the New Orleans East, but also as that continual economic catalytic project for the city of New Orleans. As the mayor highlighted, this has been a topic of conversation for, it feels like, years, and now we're finally to fruition. We're excited. We took a little bit extra time, but I think that extra time has developed wins across the board, and that's imperative for the long-term success and not the urgency of just getting something done. Thank you.
Thank you, Gilbert, very much. And Jeff?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Gilbert. Very happy to be here today making this announcement. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Gilbert. I'll be brief, but hopefully you feel the enthusiasm coming from the podium today. I also would like to extend a couple of brief thanks to the many partners, both inside and outside the city, who helped make this day possible. I will echo the mayor's sentiments. I had the privilege of serving on the IDB before joining the administration, and the Industrial Development Board has indeed been a tireless partner. They've owned this property for over 12 years, waiting for something really great to happen, and I think that's what we're celebrating today, and just want to thank them for their stewardship. I also want to acknowledge all the work, both from citizens and residents and other stakeholders, as well as some of the city staff who help make opportunities like this happen every single day. This is indeed a critical milestone that we're reaching here. As the mayor said, it's been 16 years since Hurricane Katrina, and we are long past the time when this should no longer be a daily reminder of what happened then. And so we're very, very excited about what's going to happen out at the Six Flags site and hopefully beyond in New Orleans East. Today, the selection committee, myself, Gilbert, Norman, the CFO, and two other committee members, Nicole Heyman and Courtney Stuckwish-Wong, selected Bayou Phoenix to be the master developer for the Six Flags site. I don't want to underestimate the work that went into today. But also that we are rolling up our sleeves and now the real work starts, right? We have our selected development partner. It is now time, as Gilbert said, there's going to be a lot of work and a lot of support that it's going to take in order to get to a successful project here for New Orleans East and for the city. We were very excited to see the commitment not only of TKTMJ as well as the Troy Henry Consulting, but also Hillwood brings extensive development partner experience and a very large balance sheet that gave the city a lot of comfort that this project is going to be the transformative project that we want to see at the site. And so through my office, the Office of Economic Development, under the Cantrell administration, the Office of Business and External Services, we are going to be working every day over the next 60 to 90 days to finalize the CEA, a contract negotiation with the master development team. And then it is off to the races. And so we could not be more excited to be working on that in conjunction. And as the mayor and Gilbert both noted, the Kiernan West Shield 1 proposal is also a tremendous proposal that will bring tremendous impact to New Orleans East and the rest of the city and region. We will be also working to support that proposal, as the mayor said. Again, we've waited 16 years. The city is not going to be any cause for delay. We are going to be the biggest champion of this project going forward. And I look forward to working with the Bayou Phoenix team and many others, the community members, my fellow city employees, and the like, to make sure that happens sooner rather than later. And I'll just offer my congratulations again to the Bayou Phoenix team for being a winner at the end of this process. Thank you all.
Thank you, Jeff, very much. And so with that, we'll turn it over for questions and answers. And so, John, you can start that.
And on topic, starting with that, the press release today for Kiernan West mentioned that the city would be supporting the project in every stage of development. Can you be specific about what exactly the city has committed to on the Kiernan West project?
So what we have committed to at this point is creating a development team that will meet regularly with the Kiernan West group. The team is comprised of many different departments to ensure that at that one table, from literally start to finish, we're at the table, but also able to have a better understanding of what some of their needs may be to develop that site or the sites that they're looking at.
Okay, and this has to be asked, but was there any commitment on the part of the city in exchange for their withdrawal from?
No. No, not at all. It was a commitment from the city to create a win-win to bring both of these projects to fruition for the betterment of not only New Orleans East, but the city of New Orleans. And that's what I stated months ago, and that's exactly what we've been able to deliver on. So it's a huge win for our city.
Might there be a financial commitment in the future?
Potentially, but listen, this is why. On the Kiernan West side of it, a development team is being created so that, again, we're there from every step of the way. And also, as it relates to the negotiations relative to the Six Flags redevelopment, again, we're going to walk through that, and we'll come out with the city of New Orleans will absolutely be partners. We have to be. We know that. We want to be. But there have been no financial commitments from the city just yet. I'm not putting all my cards on the table. No. We need to ensure that what is requested is actually what's needed to further advance the development of the project. But again, we know that at the start of this, and particularly even the Six Flags site, was that the developers had to prove that they have the financial wherewithal from start to finish based on what they're proposing to do. And we did that for a reason.
Any other questions? WDSU, follow up.
Mayor, you indicated in your announcement earlier today that the property acquisition process has already started for this Kiernan West proposal. So it would seem to indicate that there had been discussions for some time now about this alternative site. So I guess on the heels of what Ben is asking, where was the outreach? Did the city go to Kiernan West and say, let's talk about alternative sites? Or did Kiernan West come to the city and say, you know what, we want out of Six Flags because we're exploring options?
Well, one, the latter part absolutely did not happen, but what did transpire is what I've already stated publicly, that my goal would be to, one, ensure that we get a win-win. The city of New Orleans, we did a property inventory study, if you recall, right at 2019. We initiated in 2018 when we got in here. 2019 was actually when it was done, completed. That allowed us to have a better understanding of what we own, meaning all of our city assets, but also taking a deeper dive in private land as well that's around the area. And so based on that information, which is public information, Kernan West, their leadership, I guess, listened, explored, and determined on their own that they would move in this direction, again, creating that win-win for the city of New Orleans. But I've indicated, again, every step of the way that the city wanted to be a partner in it. And that's what we've been doing.
You said it became evident that the people were leaning towards Bayou Phoenix. That seemed to be the loudest call, let's go local, at some point. Would it be fair to say that as that voice grew louder, that either your administration or the Kiernan West Shield Group said, let's talk about options?
No, what you heard from my administration is that we were going to stick with our process. We were going to stick with not only moving through the RFQ, but we were also going to release that RFP, in which we did. And so there was no changing of. Remember, if you recall, not only the voices you heard from the community, some folks of the community, but even some elected officials, I do believe, kind of encouraging me to change in the middle in regards to a selection committee. No, I said no way, because that's the number one issue in terms of procurement, that we were not going to run afoul, that we were going to keep our process moving forward. And that's exactly what we have done. And as a result of that, we've been able to ensure that Bayou Phoenix, looking at their proposal, that selection committee went through that process. And Bayou Phoenix was able to demonstrate their financial viability to produce or redevelop the Six Flags site. I think along that way, you had the Kernan West group decide on their own which direction they wanted to go in, but also that direction proved to be true based on what I was hearing, that they wanted to invest in the city of New Orleans and in New Orleans East. And I think on today, we can clearly say that both sides are moving forward with that in mind.
I've got more questions.
Oh, and feel free to jump in. I'm sorry.
Are you going to disclose the site that Kiernan West is considering?
No, I'm going to let them do that. It is a private development.
Say if it was in close proximity to Six Flags, and whether or not the logistics hubs are going to be part of both proposals, or
No, they're two separate.
so we
They're two separate on their own. Yeah, they're two separate on their own, and that's what is fact. What was the other question you asked?
no, the proximity.
Oh, okay.
The hearing, one's near Six Flags.
Right, so this kind of speaks to my response earlier with identifying private parcels as well as public parcels around the Six Flags development. But of course, just looking at where the opportunities are for growth is New Orleans East. It's a fact. And so it's not rocket science to figure that out, especially when you're talking about our land mass, but also our assets and playing to our strengths. And so others recognize that as well. And so you do have an infusion of investment that's coming to New Orleans East based on what we're saying today. Anything you want to add, Gilbert? You look like you want to say something.
Well, you're right, and I guess I just highlight, I think, on both your all's questions, as you're trying to thread those two developments, I would just say, I think one of the things the mayor has always had her administration do is exactly this. As far as economic development or cash flow or any kind of success in the city, our assets on the balance sheet is exactly our land, right? So we hope and anticipate this type of negotiation and conversation to happen with developer X, Y, and Z, where we have the ability to provide some level of land and opportunity and then to further that economic driver. That is how you develop jobs. That's how you instigate economic development. So the model the mayor has pushed the administration to accomplish is happening right now, and that's really going to be for the future of New Orleans. So many assets have laid fallow over the course of decades and decades, significantly non-monetized assets, and our ability to leverage them, grow them, expand them with the private sector to spur economic development. That's the model for success for economic development, and we're seeing a piece of that here. So as you are trying to thread those two pieces, that's exactly what we hope to accomplish, not just for these two, but for the next 10. That's all I want to say. Thanks.
Catalytic, tipping point, leveraging. And so what we've announced today on both sides of it will benefit both sides. It's a win-win. And that third is the city of New Orleans.
All right,
Oh.
so, both of these projects
Potentially, yes. That's what, yes. Yes.
About how, I mean, I know it's still super early
Mm-hmm.
on in all of this, but about how long before the community starts seeing the amenities that are promised with these projects?
Well, as reported and presented through Bayou Phoenix, the amenities portion heavily was tied to their phase two. But again, as we move through, and not only through negotiations, but over the next 30 we said 30 to 90 days is our timeline to get through a CEA. And then we'll be, as we walk through that, we'll get a clearer understanding of how phase two, in terms of that timeline, how far either closely connected or not is relative to that phase two. But phase one is the top priority. But again, what we are announcing only helps both, which can even drive that timeline significantly. But as we work through it is when it'll all be realized.
Any other questions?
There was mention today in the selection committee meeting about a letter that Kieran West had submitted to withdraw. Can y'all tell me the date of that letter? Like, when did they?
Or the deadline for the submission?
I believe it was September 20.
That's right, it was on the deadline, it was
Yeah.
September 27th. Instead of submitting a proposal, they submitted the letter.
Okay. So they submitted on the 27th then?
The last day, I
Yeah,
believe.
that's
Now, that deadline had been moved back 2 weeks, correct?
Well, due to Ida,
Due to Ida.
yes.
Then how did that affect the rest of the, like, anticipated timeline schedule?
Oh, it didn't. We just shifted. Yeah, it didn't.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out, like, why was this announcement today? Like, what was the, led up to the timing of the announcement today, and also the scheduling of the meeting today? I think that it was noticed on Friday, right? And then, it was announced today. Why those dates in particular?
Dates in particular, because we're able to announce that we have two major developments coming to the city of New Orleans. And so definitely with one having been been a part of the RFQ process, and then moving to the RFP process. So both being able to unveil that they're both realized that win-win.
Was there a reason that you didn't want to come out on September 27th and announce that Kieran West had pulled itself out of consideration?
Because one, we need to keep the process going as planned. So not diverting from that process at all, regardless if they pulled out or not, because there was no shoe-in. It's not an automatic, meaning, okay, Kieran West is no longer, right? That's not an automatic that therefore Bayou Phoenix would be selected. So we had to make sure that the committee was going through their due diligence, looking and being able to determine that it was a viable project, that the financials definitely aligned with the development of Six Flags. And so that took time, and we were not going to skirt that because we want to make sure that we deliver for New Orleans East, for the city of New Orleans, a real project for that particular site. So there was no automatic, like by default, you're selected. Oh, no, not at all. We had to make sure, again, that those financials were there. And that we felt that they had what it really required to develop that site. And so we've done that. Yeah.
No further questions.
Thank you so much. All right.
I have a question.
Uh-oh.
You didn't give me an opportunity.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Does the city have any plans for, now that we have all this development going in, thinking ahead, will the city have a plan to beautify the surrounding areas?
So in regards to beautification, which speaks to cleaning up this city, even prior to Ida, has been a top priority for the city of New Orleans, and also focusing very heavily on New Orleans East. You can even see, we've pushed very hard to work with the state to get them to kind of clean up the interstate and the median and the like. We've been very aggressive in terms of blight reduction, demolitions happening. Of course, when you talk about these specific sites in terms of Six Flags and surrounding areas based on the private development of Kieran West, that's what we will work out, right, as we move through. On one side, negotiations, but on the other side, that development team that will work with the Kieran West team. So all of these things, when we're talking about catalytic projects, absolutely, we're looking to leverage other city assets or resources to, again, push this towards a tipping point, because it doesn't stop with these two developments. It actually starts. And so we're going to be strategic in our approach, because we do anticipate further investments from the developers in New Orleans East. And that is the goal. Thank you. All right, thank you. All right.